are listening to the #1 real estate podcast, where we talk with real estate professionals all across North America about their wins, their losses, their lessons, and stories help you win in your local market today. My name is Cody from Sheridan Street. I am the co-host of the RE Agent podcast. And usually Vikram is here in order to, and I would hand it over to Vikram, but he's traveling right now at a Joe Dispenza event, and he's unable to make it today. So this is a solo episode. But I have the opportunity today to interview and to chat with somebody I love and somebody that I've been watching. We got the opportunity to meet in person at an event through mentors. And we're going to talk about that today as well, about just the power of investing back into your business, the power of investing back into mentors. With no further ado, Ginger, how are you doing today? Why don't you give everyone a high-level overview on how you got into real estate, where you're at in the world, and just kind of like the SparkNotes version of real estate and kind of your journey so far?
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here and love chatting with you. So I actually started in real estate when everyone was running out the door, which is kind of interesting because of the market that we're currently in right now.
Yeah.
I actually started in January 2008. So when the proverbial poop hit the fan as far as real estate was concerned, everyone was jumping out, and I was like, what an opportunity to learn. So that's where I came from, was a market of, chaos and just a lot of different things thrown at you as an agent. And I was really a solo agent at the time. I partnered up with someone who was brand new, just like me. But then, having success, learning through the process, I ended up starting a team in 2018. So I've had a highly successful team, #1 in the state for Coldwell Banker for the years that I've actually had the team. So I've learned a lot, I've grown a lot, and I love learning every single day. So that's the quick SparkNote version of how I got started in real estate.
I want to dissect that a little bit, because the agents and the team leads that we talk about, there's about a 10-year gap of no team. So I really want to dissect that, where it's like, what were some of the things that you learned in that 10-year gap from 2008 to 2018? And like, when did you know that you were ready for a team? Because you'd also mentioned that you had partnered up with a new agent. Like, and I've heard that before. I've heard tons of agents will be like, oh, I'll partner up with somebody else. And, most of the time it doesn't work because they're new as well. So like, can you like walk us through kind of that journey, that 10-year gap and then we'll dissect the 2018 growth to the 5-year growth.
So I'll be brutally honest. Real estate was not by design. It was by accident for me.
Okay.
I was not planning on making it a big career. I had a very big career in pharmaceuticals, and was the first female to reach the point of where I was in my position. Mm-hmm. But I met a man, got married, and decided to have a family. And for me, that's where the pause was in my employment and working. So all my friends were becoming real estate agents, and I love pretty houses, and I built my own. And so that's how I actually started in real estate. So the partner that I ended up having was also by accident, and I was going to get headshots. And literally I looked at her and I said, hey, do you want to get headshots with me? Come on, I'm paying for it. And we took a picture together. It was her and I, and she was brunette, I'm blonde. They called us Salt and Pepper. That one photo created a team. We were teamvahomes.com, and we didn't have any idea, Cody, what we were doing. Like, we were dumb and dumber, frickin' frack. I mean, and my husband, I was telling Sharon this the other day. It was called the unjob for the first 2 years because I paid to go to work, and I didn't really have the structure, the mentor, and the guidance that either one of us truly needed. So really, it was two moms with young kids with husbands that deployed, that relied on each other to help the business try and move forward. So I learned by the mistakes that I was making, and I love sharing that so that people, don't make the same mistakes or waste the time that I did, because that's why there probably was that long period of time between when I started and when then I started the team. A lot did change for me, though. Like, once I realized, hey, I really like doing this. I love doing this. I like helping people. I'd always been in sales. I love homes. It's kind of the blend of everything. And then I realized that, hey, I'm good at this too. And I didn't track my sales. So I was exactly the opposite of what you want as an example. but I didn't really track and measure the things that I should have.
Okay.
But I had really good success in business because I loved what I did.
Mm,
And so it business begat business, referrals started coming, and I realized the power of the connections and relationships.
mm.
And so that's really where the success came. And to be honest with you, I ended up as like the number one agent in the brokerage and didn't even go to the award ceremony because that part wasn't on my radar.
Yeah.
But then at
So
some point,
interesting.
yeah, it's kind of crazy, right?
Yeah.
But at some point I realized, hey, I need to pay attention to these things. And this truly is something you need to treat as a business, not as a hobby. And I think when that light switch happened, everything changed.
When did that happen? Because you had mentioned there was about 2 years where like you were kind of like getting your footing. Like what was, I guess, the epiphany for you? Like was there a mistake that you made early on that finally like clicked in your brain where you're like, okay, I'm doing this wrong and I need to get my shit together in order to create what you have now? Because like what you have now, like in 2023 and like with a team is like what a lot of people like that are starting out in real estate, or even a lot of people that have been in the business for 10 years that still don't have the business they desire to have today. Like what was was there something that clicked, or what was that?
So it's a great question, and it's a little hard to put my thumb on, but I'll give you where I know the pivot changed from a business perspective. So I moved overseas. My husband's job took us overseas for 2 years. We lived in Rome.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, it was pretty cool. And so my partner, her husband was retiring from the Marines and they were moving. And we kept the business going while I was overseas. I did all the back end stuff. And so I think in doing that, because I couldn't show houses, I was, not able to do that, but I was doing a lot of the management from behind. And
Mhm.
so it made me pay more attention to the business side. And
Okay.
I realized the missed opportunities that we were having because we weren't truly treating it like a business. So when I moved back, my partner was moving away. And so there were two things. That was the first thing, is that I realized in the back end that this needs to be treated truly like a business. And then the second thing was I'd always given back. And I got the nickname the Give Back Girl
Mm,
after I had moved back. But before I moved back, a friend of ours that lived overseas had a son that was the same age as my son. And when we moved overseas, they were both in kindergarten. And when we moved back, it was about 2 years later. And while we were there, her son was diagnosed with Duchenne's disease. And I looked at that family, and they had four sons, and they had one with complete hearing loss. She had complete hearing loss, the mom, who was my friend. So there was a lot of things that were in this family's path that I saw as things that people could just give up on, right? And say, oh my gosh, why me?
yeah.
And I realized that I was the luckiest person on the face of the planet ever in the world, because I
Mm,
had two healthy, crazy, drive me up the wall sometimes kids,
yeah.
a family that was amazing, but I was the luckiest person in the world. And so that, in looking at what my friend was going through and how she handled everything with grace, and he did pass away, unfortunately, that I wanted to give back more. So when I moved back from Italy, the two things that I realized is, one, I need to be more strategic in my business. And two, I want to incorporate more about giving back in the model that I choose to have my business run. So the giving back piece started right away. And the intentionality of looking at the business was there. So I was like a force to be reckoned with when I got home from Italy. I was like on fire, ready to go. Let's do this.
Wow.
That's truly where the major momentum of my production and everything else started from.
I love that. Like the intention piece, like, you brought up Sharon. Sharon and I have had the conversations about this year about like when you set intention, you create clarity for yourself that allows you to actually push your goals forward, because you're operating out of intention versus operating out of like a goal mindset. It's like one thing to set a goal, it's another thing to have the intention of like this is going to be a different year, this is going to be a different business. Like it sounded like there was a mindset shift that happened,
Mhm.
that allowed you to do that. Like you had brought up this, like the story about like the intentional giving. like where did the mindset shift happen with the business, like the business strategy? Like, because a lot of people like, and maybe you can, because like you have success in real estate, maybe you could talk a little bit about this, especially with this, like, you run circles with Sharon, and he's very big around like business strategy. It's like, how does one real estate agent who might be coming to the business that doesn't have knowledge about business strategy, how do they get that business strategy, and what does good business strategy look like in your mind?
So another great question. And so for me, I was a business mindset because I ran the last job that I left was I ran an entire region
Mm,
for a pharmaceutical company. So I had, multiple states, thousands of people in total, between thought leaders as far as physicians were concerned, but also my team, and in and out of hospitals and all kinds of stuff. So I came from that corporate business mindset, and I was there for quite a while. Um, when I got into real estate, I didn't take it serious. And I think that that's part of the problem, that people think that, hey, I can sell a house. I'm going to get this commission of X. And okay, I need to put some away for taxes and the rest is all mine. But for me, the intentional part was, yeah, that's great. And I can go buy whatever Louis Vuitton purses, like, the new one that comes out tomorrow.
yeah.
Or I could take that money, I could turn around and invest it not only in the business, but in myself. And so you mentioned Sharon. For me, when I was in pharmaceuticals, and I always kind of reflect back on that, what made me grow there? How did my tree end up with all of these beautiful leaves on it as a result of one seed? So the seed that I took was whatever money I could put together and find a mentor. And so here's the thing. I have three amazing mentors in my world. Sharon is one of them. Tom Ferry and the ecosystem is another one. And Ryan Serhant is the third. And so for me to be able to invest that level of time and money and dedication into what they're telling me to do and implementing it is enormous. But
Yeah.
for someone that's brand new, who doesn't have the money to do that level of investment in themselves, you still can find a mentor.
Mhm.
I'm a mentor to new agents in my office. So you need to realize, where are the holes in my business or what I don't understand, and who can I go up to that's going to help me fill that void,
Mhm.
and do whatever they ask you to do. Sometimes you don't even have to pay them. Sometimes you just
Yeah.
need to do what they're asking you to do. So, if someone came to me asking me to help them, yeah, okay, let's do it. This is what I need you to do, right, to achieve this goal. And so, yeah, you might be doing something for me in return. That's not really what it's about.
Yeah.
But indirectly, you're learning underneath that person. So go find someone, follow them. I mean, and truly, that's what I did when I moved back. I didn't have the money to pay, for all of these amazing mentors, but I did have the ability to ask for help for people who I saw were successful in the business, in the business that I knew I wanted to create.
Mhm.
I don't know if I answered your question.
No, you 100% did. Like, like the mentorship and the ability to be connected with people and like, seek out that mentor even locally, scrounge up the money, like that, set money aside, I think is like super valuable advice, and something that we did early on. And, getting connected with Sharon, getting connected with like our coaches like Taki Moore. That's actually how I met Sharon. It's like, you just never know the degrees of connection that you're going to create, especially in mastermind communities or in coaching communities. It's like, maybe it's not even necessarily that specific person that you have access to. It's like oftentimes it's the network that you have access to. And I think locally people generally understand that. But you nailed it on the head. Now, what about because like, obviously you're a big proponent in investing in mentors, but not everyone in the real estate industry is. Like, a lot of people are like, no, I'm going to figure it out on my own. Or team leads, for example, like, I know I've chatted with so many team leads that are like struggling right now in this market. Like, the back half of 2022 was super rough, and then they're trying to figure out how to create business in a 2023 environment. And our mentor Sharon has said this, like, we've definitely exited a momentum-based market. We're now in a skills-based market.
Yep.
So what can team leads do, or what should team leads be doing in a 2023 market in order to A, stand out in your mind, and B, in order to drive income for themselves, but also for their teams?
So I'm going to start with the last part of your question. The first thing is it's not about me, it's about the team. So I would tell you in a market where it's tough, I'm the last one to get paid, period. The team is my focus, and I feel a huge responsibility to everyone that's on my team, from the agent that sits in the office right next door to me to the VA that's overseas. Like, we are all a team, we all work together, and without the cohesiveness, right, that's where the problems start. So for me, I look at, I've saved money. I always save for a rainy day. And that's, and at this point, if someone hasn't prepared, which you always should be preparing, kind of like I said, the Louis Vuitton bag, right?
Yeah.
I mean, all joking aside, but instead of going out and spending the money, you need to save not only for your taxes, but you need to save for your future. And it's not only your future self, but it's your future business or lack thereof. And I think that's a super important thing that a lot of people fail to recognize. But talking to where we are right now, so if someone hasn't put that nest egg in place to prepare for where it's a little bit leaner, it's a little bit harder. It's not write a contract, get an offer, run out the door, and then it's closing in 30 days for $50,000 more. But it's skill based, which is the thing that you mentioned. So right now, as a team lead, there's two things that I'm doing. One is I'm making sure that all my people are fed. I'm making sure everyone on my team is moving forward. And in hand with that, if they're not, how can I get them there? Because again, for me, the way that I look at it, it is not about me. It is about them. Because without them, there's no team. So do I work more closely with them on a listing appointment? Yes. Do I bring them on my own personal listing appointment? I do. And I just came from when we were talking about that. I brought one of my top agents with me because she wants to learn more about listings. I want her to learn more about listings. So education and skills are so important. So you know what? We weren't able to go and sit in classrooms before to take classes. But we have time to do it now. So those are the key things that I'm really putting in front of my people, is building the skills, taking the time to hear where their pain points are, putting in place the training that's needed to help them so that they can be successful, which in turn makes everyone successful. So I do think that the key up front is good times save the money, right? When the money's flowing and the champagne's popping, right? No, put the money away and plan for these types of times, because I did start in a market where it was like this. I mean, foreclosures and short sales. And I mean, it was not easy. So I think that's what truly prepared me for any market, is if I could learn to sell homes and be successful in a down market, the sky's the limit. And so I think for me too, that was the training that I was able to give to my team. And I mean, my team's only a couple years old. My most tenured agent will be with me for 4 years next week.
Wow.
So 4 years ago, where were we? What was the market? It was good.
It was amazing. Yeah.
So it's also preparing them for this type of market. And how do you keep off the roller coaster and stay straight? And it's consistency. That's really the key.
Can you tackle consistency for us really quickly? Because I think that there's a lot of, obviously with you having a team, there's a lot of people that struggle with consistency. I think consistency is something that, Alex Hormozi says this all the time, advanced people never don't do the basics. They always stick to the basics. They keep doing the basics. And it's like, you're still doing listing appointments. You're teaching your team how to do listing appointments. As a team lead, what do the basics, or what does consistency look like structurally in your team?
So it starts with the morning. The morning routine is super important. And for my team, that's one thing that I've tried to instill with them, is creating the routine and the basic habits. Because when they started in a market where you were getting a phone call and running out the door and showing, 12 houses and writing 15 offers and, the chaos, it's easy to remember that and get wrapped up in that. But it's also very easy to forget the basics of making the phone calls and making the connections. And so, I have had to work through with my team the 90-day lull. Like, what you do now, you're going to see in 90 days. And everything here is a math problem. It's truly just a math problem. So if you put in the 2 hours a day of making the contacts, the connections, building the consistent relationships, 90 days out, what do you expect to get in return? Like for that investment of your time. So it's truly trying to keep the focus on those basics of being consistent in the phone calls. And how do we do it? We time block it.
Yeah.
And is it perfect? No. Am I perfect in my time blocking? No. Am I always consistent? I'm not. But that's okay, because if you are taking, and this is my opinion, if you're taking such a hard, rigid line on that and zero flexibility, then you're never going to win. And you
Yeah.
always need to find a win a day. So if you're the checklist person, make the checklist. If you're the time block person, make the time block. Each person's brain works a little bit differently, but it's finding how you can create a system to maintain consistency. So the system to maintain consistency for me is the key to success.
I love that, because I think far too many people wing it. And it's like that systematic time block, that if I were to parachute into your world and look at your calendar, what would I see? Would I see the consistent, persistent approach towards your intention, towards your goal? Or would I see, just like happenstance? I think that that's so important. And when it comes to, kind of shifting gears, when it comes to branding, because this is something that you've gone all in on, like you've gone all in on branding. We actually even we chatted earlier about you picking up a listing off of like a radio ad, which is branding, not necessarily direct response marketing, but branding. It's like, I think there's a lot of, and I really want to get your input in this, because I think there's a lot of real estate agents who say like radio is a waste of money, or direct response advertising is a waste of money, or, I don't want to create videos, it's a waste of time, it doesn't work for me. You've kind of taken the opposite direction, where it's like, I'm going to invest in my brand, especially even with radio. Like it's even strange hearing that like from realtors now, because they're like, they don't think it works. But like my belief has always been everything works. It just takes time, skill, and volume. So clearly you've created really great ads on radio that convert. So I'm curious to know, like, what has been your branding strategy this year? Was there a pivot point where you said like, you know what, I'm going all in on this? What was the kind of the catalyst for the branding of you and your team? Because I've seen like you produce a ton more content lately. So I'm curious to kind of know your strategy and like what's working and what's not working from like a marketing branding perspective.
So branding is something that I learned in pharmaceuticals. I actually launched a drug into the market. So I saw the back end of how we come up with a way of launching a drug into market, and all the way through the commercial. So it was pretty cool for me to see that and be able to wear that marketing hat for a little while. I always knew it was super important. And I kind of wasn't sure what my quote unquote thing was. My thing was me, right? Branding is you.
Yeah.
It's not a fake version of you. It's who you truly are.
Mm-hmm.
And so I am wearing my branding color.
Love
Pink is me.
Yeah.
And if you saw my shoes right now, which I could probably lift my foot up and show you, they're sparkly.
Okay.
Because sparkles and pink are me.
Yeah.
And so I will tell you, I came from, pharmaceuticals where you wore, black, and you were a little bit more serious and more business and more formal.
Yeah, I see that.
In this industry, we get to be truly, genuinely who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And you have the opportunity to meet 1,000 people or 5 people by being on video, right? By answering the public's questions. And so showing up who you are and being genuine to yourself is the key to everything. So the one thing that actually kind of maybe nudged me in that direction was when I met with Ryan Serhant, because he is the king of branding.
100%.
And I absolutely love the way that he shows up, not only on the $1 Million Listing Show, but just in general, like just being able to be around him. He is the person who you think he is, and that's who the person he is for his clients. So, I feel like that probably was the one thing, because I never would have worn sparkle sneakers, which I have on my feet right now, which I just came from a listing appointment, because you know what? That's who I am, and that's who people remember.
Yeah.
As far as the radio, so you can get a lot of marketing for free. You don't have to pay to play for everything.
Yeah.
And it's truly finding what you like doing, and then finding where you can get that out in the public eye or voice or ear
Mhm.
for free.
Yeah.
So I actually was approached by the DJ through some giving back stuff that we did in the community
Mhm.
in a conversation. And she said, "Hey, I want you to be on my radio show, my morning radio show." She had the number one radio show in Fredericksburg in Virginia. And we used to do a segment with an attorney. I'd like to do it with you. And I was like, cool, let's do it. And so I'm on the radio for an hour. It's called Ask the Realtor. It's my segment. And I get on the radio on the first Friday of every month and I answer the public's questions to the point where there's more questions than there is time.
Yeah.
So, and I've been doing that with consistency for the last several years. And that is what has also given me credibility in the community because I'm
Yeah.
giving value. I'm not
Yeah.
just, for me, it's not just paying for a commercial, which there are commercials for me and I
Mhm.
do pay for the, for that, but I'm giving value because I'm answering questions that the public actually has.
Yeah.
So radio is not dead because I just came from a listing appointment. It's about $1 million listing appointment and it came from him hearing me on the radio.
I love that because like I hear everyone, in this space, especially in the marketing space, but even the real estate space, oh, this doesn't work anymore. This doesn't work anymore. It's like, it all works. Like it all works. It just takes time, skill and volume. So, I really do appreciate that. Like now you're also doing a ton of social content and like, we have had the opportunity to hang out and learn from some of the best, like, learn from Sharon, learn from Jason Capital. Like,
Yeah.
what are some things that like realtors should be considering when creating social media content right now in 2023? Do you think that is a massive play for real estate agents in their local market? Is it something that if they don't do that, like they're just missing a gold rush? Like what are some of your takes around like content creation right now in 23?
If you're not doing video and you're not showing this and providing local information, you are missing a huge opportunity,
Mhm.
huge. And for me, that's why I'm putting out all of these videos that are the content. Some of it's fun, right? Some of it's silly. It's the bloopers, it's the behind the scenes, it's the stuff that people want to see because it kind of lets you in the back door and
Yeah.
people are curious, right? So I don't just come at it from what's an EMD? What's the average sales price? It's not just that, it's also putting some stories behind it. So a lot of the content that I'm putting out now, which I do batch create, I take, literally what I do, we record the radio station show. So you're not seeing me, right? You're only hearing me,
Yeah.
but now you can see me and you can see what actually happens behind the scenes. We
I
do a
love
split
that.
screen, there's 2 cameras running. So that goes up on our YouTube channel. And then we take that and we slice it because those are questions from the public. And we take that and we put it on
So
social.
good.
So, I'm repurposing long form content to short form content because it's truly questions that you guys, the public actually has.
Yeah.
For the social stuff though, if you're looking to create content, there's websites, that you can look at, for what the questions are, but you already know that stuff. Like literally think about what you're being asked on a daily basis and start writing those questions
Mhm.
down. Or what I'm really doubling down on right now is telling stories
Mhm.
because people want to hear not just the news, but they want to hear the story.
Yeah.
So why is it so important for you to know, where you're wiring money? Because I had someone lose over $100,000 for wiring it to the wrong place. Here's the story,
Oh my
right?
gosh. Yeah.
Let me tell you, but see, and that's
Yeah.
kind of like the wow, but it makes you
Yeah.
think if you're a buyer, oh my God, my goodness, I didn't think about that, right?
Yeah.
Or as another real estate agent, in another state, wow, I didn't realize that that was happening. I need to look at that too.
Yeah.
So providing value, but telling it through a story, not a made up story, but something truly that happened.
Yeah.
We're out doing this on a daily basis. Tell what's going on because people want to know. We are the age of reality television,
Yeah.
right?
100%. 100%.
Everyone wants to see the truth behind the smile. So show up with your face because that's who they're going to fall in love with. And it's okay if your hair is not right, if your makeup's a mess, if you didn't wear the right color shirt, if your voice is hoarse or you feel 10 pounds overweight. I feel that all the time I show up on camera. And you
Yeah.
know what? At this
Me
point,
too.
I don't care because
Yeah.
people are going to gravitate to the information and they're going to gravitate to you anyway. And it really just, at the end of the day, it's a connection
Mhm.
that people can get to know you a little bit more.
Yeah, like I say to all of our clients, like it 100% is like a modern day water cooler. in an office. It's
Yeah.
the ability to go deep, with people, to share your story, to, like, and a lot of people will think, well, I create this content, like, will my target audience even see it? It's like the amount of referrals that happen on social from, it's like this person connecting because this person saw your content. It's like, hey, you should chat with, you should chat with Ginger, or you should chat with Cody about, real estate. Like, it's like, but this person's not interested in real estate. It's like this other person connect me with another person who's interested in real estate. It's like the degree of separation on social, because it's so relationship focused, if you do social right, is absolutely incredible. And I just, Ginger, I just appreciate you more than anything taking the time to chat with me today. And like, wrapping up here, if somebody were to want to reach you, somebody want to reach out to you, or maybe somebody like is listening, like an agent's listening, and they're like, I'm looking for somebody help me out with an agent to agent referral. Where is the best place that we can direct them for that, or to essentially contact you if they're just listening and they're looking for real estate in your area?
I love Instagram. I'm an Instagram kind of girl. So if you just go to The Real Ginger Walker, you can find me there on Instagram or TikTok. But I usually chat with a lot of people in DMs on Instagram. So that's probably the easiest way to find me. Or you can always go to my website, which is givebackteam.com. And, you've got all my contact information right there. And we cover all of Northern Virginia, Quantico, Pentagon, and not down to Richmond, but, kind of the Northern Virginia piece of the puzzle. So I'm on the radio. I'm all over the place. So if you just Google me, you'll probably find me too.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you will, especially if you go on Instagram, follow her on Instagram. Hey, Ginger, I just want to say thank you more than anything for joining us today. And I want to say thank you for tuning into another episode of the Our Agent Podcast. We'll see you soon.